Oh, look at all those fishies jumping. Hey guys, a little bit late. Just come down here onto the beach. A little bit of a... I haven't got this very well balanced. A bit of a walking chat with Matt this morning, which is a shame because I've got a huge amount of questions to... it's not a shame, but it's an opportunity. A huge amount of questions to dance with written in, which I've basically quickly scribbled down on a note, but I couldn't find a place at our little bungalow to sit in a relaxed way and have this chat. So, just trying to find a spot where I can sit down and talk, because we've got our kids there this morning. Let's try down here. In general, there's many more people on the island the last few weeks, and the tide's right in, so I don't have much actual beach here. So, anywho, first, hello, here it is, it's Chat with Matt. Hey Patricia, how are you? It's Chat with Matt, and it's, let's try and get this camera to sit right. It is whatever date it is, 26th or 27th, 28th, something like that of July, 2021 still. Nagaguna, let me get the right. Arjuna wrote in, hey Jane, asking about the Bible, whether I'd talk about the Bible. Yeah, I can talk about the Bible. It's an interesting topic. Hey, what are you doing in there, Chookie? Chook's in the grass right next to the ocean here. There's patches of grass that go down. I don't know if you can see the chook in there, but anyway. She's sitting in there looking a little bit... Oh, she's got all the babies. Look. I don't know if you can see all of the little tiny babies. It's okay. You can stay there. Stay there with your babies. We've got 8 of them. We've been giving them a little bit of food every now and again. Those 8 little babies. She's doing very well because she's had 8 babies now for 4 days since they first hatched. And usually they get whittled away a little bit quicker than that, I would imagine, because it's very rare that you see a mother actually with like 3 or 4 bigger babies. So anyway, the Bible, like all spiritual texts, the Bible has a lot to offer those of us who are seeking wisdom and seeking some clarity and seeking some inspiration for how we could live life. The Bible and all other spiritual texts are also written in other times. They've been written in the past. Swap arms. They've been written in the past, and thus they will be potentially a little bit confusing to our modern mind about what it actually means. A lot of the stories, a lot of the allegories, a lot of the examples that these texts use to inspire us, inspire anyone to... This is quite a nice little quiet spot. Maybe I might just pop myself down in here. Vacant. Pretty sure this is a vacant block. And I might just pop myself down here, sitting on a coconut. Not under the coconut tree. Not that it's a very high coconut tree. Because I'm not going to manage to walk and talk very well. So what's important is that we can allow any spiritual text to inspire us without getting caught up in the specifics, without taking it too literally. This is where a lot of people in all faiths tend to get very, very contracted into wanting their particular text to be the right one. And a lot of people get very caught up in trying to follow the rules very dogmatically. And then the thing dropped out a bit. But anyway, I don't see why this would be not a good spot for coverage. But anyway, the thing with people is they want to take the rules and the guidelines that are handed out in these texts that were written in the past and apply them verbatim to their life. People are notoriously lazy, and they love the idea that a doctrine or a set of guidelines, all they need to do is follow it, quote unquote, religiously, and they're going to be okay. They're going to find their happiness. They're going to find their salvation. They're going to be good, right, and proper. So this is true of the Bible. It's true of the Quran. It's true of the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Gita, the Torah, all of the Buddhist texts as well. There's always enclaves of people who want to get very literal with what's written in there and try and apply it very religiously, dogmatically to their life, thinking that that's all they need to do. Basically, they're trying to absolve themselves of any choice, right? They're trying to take away any opportunity. They're trying to absolve themselves of responsibility, basically, the responsibility to act in ways that is intuitive, that act in ways that is heartfelt. They just want to apply mental rules. They want to take any particular situation, run it through all of the rules that they've memorized based on the scriptures that they've read, make their choice from that and feel confident that they've made the right choice because they're on the side of their dogma, their religion. And of course, as we're evolving as a species, that is holding up less and less. Less and less is it easy now to be able to apply these cookie cutter rules to our life and to feel validated in that. People are still trying, but it's becoming more and more obvious, I think, that there are so many contradictions and lack of congruence or alignment in that way of being that it's starting to really show itself. I think over the last 50 years we've seen quite a massive turning away from many of the religions, and people have there's been a proliferation in what we might call atheism, or this idea that there isn't a God, and that has gone through a natural phase and is now probably coming out the other side, where people are becoming more spiritual. Some people are turning back to religions. Religions, of course, have evolved over the last 50 years in the way that they are applying their scriptures, some more than others, of course. And I think we'll continue to see that. There is nothing wrong with studying the Bible and allowing it to influence you in inspired and expansive ways, in taking the opportunity of the study to inspire your own inquiry into what the real message is, and not to get too caught up in the surface level and just take it as a set of rules that you need to follow. Because the truth is, these rules are being manipulated a lot. You have to remember, with all the spiritual texts, they've been translated multiple times into different languages and rewritten, modernized through the ages, and with each successive iteration, of course, the message is being skewed, not always in a way that is beneficial to everyone. So anyway, hopefully that's done enough to answer Arjuna's question around the Bible. And it is a big topic, and I could talk for a lot longer on spiritual scriptures and how to use them in a more empowered way, but that's probably a good start. There's another question about the 8-8 portal, right, the Lion's Gate, that comes up every year, a numerological date. 8 has always been considered to be abundance in Chinese numerology and in more modern numerology as well. And so the 8th of August, Jill wrote in, she had a conversation along these lines with a born-again Christian a couple of days ago, and it ended with him feeling condescendingly sorry for me that I wouldn't follow the words of the good book verbatim. Yeah, and so you have to understand that, unfortunately, these people who tend to want to follow the words of the good book verbatim are lacking in a lot of confidence in themselves, and think that the only way of salvation is to surrender themselves to a doctrine that basically absolves them of any responsibility. So they no longer have to worry about making decisions, because the decisions are all made for them because they're written in the book. And therefore their only decision is whether to follow or not to follow, and they've already made the decision that they're going to follow. And so, it's coming from their own lack of confidence, and they do get many of them who get very fanatical in following any religious order, not just Christianity, but any other order, are doing so from a real fear in themselves that unless they follow, then they will get tempted by evil and end up going to hell, quote unquote. So we hold space for them, right? And there's no point pushing them into a meltdown. Every soul goes through these phases of being a young soul on the planet and not having the confidence to trust what they know inside of themselves and looking for external guidance to be good, right, and proper. And so it is. It's just the phase of evolution. Our job is not to need to argue with them or need to get overly influenced by them, right? It's just to hold loving space and agree to disagree. And, we don't need to hide our truth from them, but nor do we need to, nor do we need to argue them to make them wrong. They're not wrong. They're just at their phase, their stage. Anyway, the 8-8 portal is like all portals, like new moons, full moons, and other astrological dates. 12-12-12 was a big one, and these different times give us an opportunity. Awesome, glad you didn't fall out. But yeah, and he's allowed to feel sorry for you, and he can do his prayers for you and make himself feel better that he's trying to save your soul, that one day you'll become a believer. Just let him do that, because it's not gonna negatively influence you. That's an important thing to remember, unless you make it influence you. But anyway, these portals, and of course 8-8 is coming up in, I guess, less than 2 weeks now. They're an opportunity to utilise, but they're not something that we need to worry about missing out on. That's the important thing. Just like any religious holiday, whether it's Chinese religious holiday, an Indian religious holiday, a Christian religious holiday, they all offer opportunities for us to dive into, allowing a morphogenetic field of belief to serve us. So if many people are believing that 8-8 is a doorway, the Lion's Gate is a doorway to allowing more abundance to flow into our life, to using that time to release lack mentality and various restrictions and limitations that we might hold that are keeping us out of prosperity or out of experiencing abundance consciousness, then go for it, right? But at the same time, don't get so contracted to think that this is the only opportunity or this is even an important opportunity. It's a valid opportunity, but it doesn't need to be made important. If you feel to embrace the day and various opportunities to do meditation or to a ceremony or this or that, then go for it with all means. But don't get contracted into trying to prove that it's the right thing. Don't worry about missing out. Don't worry about getting it wrong. Relax into the opportunity that any portal offers you without taking on the negative side of importance and contraction around trying to get these things right. Okay, Bart wrote about loneliness and being overwhelmed with fear, and also this sort of brain fog and digestive issues, right? That is very common right now. It's very common right now to be experiencing digestive issues because there is a lot of fear coming up, and those of us who are empathic many of us are unfortunately struggling to digest the amount of fear that we're swimming through, and that is leading to a lot of anxiety, and it's also leading to a lot of digestive issues because it's all influencing or challenging really our solar plexus to become more powerful, which is a good thing, but the short-term symptomology can be these dates are just another type of label. So whether it's Christmas, which comes with a label and expectations, or whether it's Lion's Gate, is a label that comes with expectations, which can be used in powerfully good ways and can also be used in powerfully non-helpful ways. People get stressed about these dates, and people also utilize these dates in good ways. So it's not that we need to get rid of all religious holidays, it's not that we need to get rid of all labels, it's just that we as a person and as a community have the opportunity to evolve out of the negative side effects of these labels and these dates and the expectations that might be holding us back. My family's about to walk down the beach past me because our kids are over here at the moment. which means that the house is now free, or the bungalow. But anyway, I'm here now. I don't know if they'll notice me sitting in here in the bushes. Probably. Hello, family.
We're going down to Tamanu.
Okay.
Paddleboarding.
Okay.
Down when you're ready.
Okay. Awesome. So, brain fog is very common right now, as we're all going through the intensity of what we're releasing fear-wise and all of the confusion and conflict that's up at the moment. And it also runs hand in hand with digestive issues, right? A lot of our digestion, or a lot of our brain is in our tummy, and we're going to talk about intuition and versus instinct as well, because I have this little bit of paper here where I scribbled down all of the questions that I am attempting to talk to. So yeah, our digestion does play a part in brain fog. We know that when our digestion is out, that our thinking, our brain activity is influenced, and various, yeast overgrowths, mold overgrowths, various things that happen when our digestion fire, our Jata Agni is not strong, very much influences our brain. So strong digestion is really beneficial for good health, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's looking after your digestion, investing effort into doing the beneficial things for your digestive fire is a good use of your energy. So whether that be doing breathing exercises like Bhastrika, whether that be doing exercises to stimulate your digestion, choosing to eat digestive tonics, start your day with a routine, some warm water, some lemon juice. Yeah, there's no one size fits all with that, right? Allow yourself to go on a little bit of an inquiry for yourself, how you can improve your own digestive health. Probiotics, prebiotics, all of those sorts of things are valid. Again, mineral supplementation is valid. There's all sorts of things you can look at. Eliminating sugar and candida and that sort of thing is valid. Eliminating toxins from your body, heavy metals, etc. is also valid in helping you with brain fog and your mental faculties, and with your digestion, which run hand in hand. Experiencing loneliness right now is very, very common, Bart, and I know Vanessa also said lack of physical energy and drifting with no motivation sort of feelings. This is part of, unfortunately, the experience of being empathic on this planet right now, is we're feeling a lot of the disconnection arising, and it can be quite confusing, and it can be quite confronting, quite concerning that we're feeling these various these sensations, these emotions, right? There's a lot of emotion up, and loneliness and non-acceptance, non-appreciation is very common right now. It's because what we're feeling is what we're releasing, and many of us who have stood as light workers or light warriors on this planet for many centuries, if not millennia, are carrying quite a lot of wounding around this, of not fitting in, not being appreciated, and that's arising right now to release. And it's also becoming very apparent to many of us that we are different to a lot of the population, right? That we are different to a lot of the population, and that can inspire a lot of loneliness as well. We're seeing so many people contracted into the dichotomies of what are playing out, the polarities that are playing out very intensely on the planet, and those of us who are choosing not to take a side right now, because we can see the limitation on both sides of these arguments, also can feel quite lonely, because we are very much in the minority currently, as many people are being enticed to fight for one side or the other, whether it's pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, or any other, of the current divisions that are being perpetrated upon the planet politically, religiously, sexuality-wise. It's all coming up right now. Racism is very, very much being purged from the planet in a rather spectacularly uncomfortable way. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about instinct versus intuition. So they're both feelings, and this has come up because I've been talking a lot about feelings, and we've talked recently on the new moon and the last full moon about finding a more empowered relationship with our emotions, which is kind of on the surface of our feeling body. You know, when we start to allow ourselves to feel more, a lot of what we feel is our emotions. And a lot of the emotions that we feel are the discordant ones, the ones that don't feel so comfortable. So part of the process of allowing ourselves to get more deeply into the ability to feel our instincts and our intuition, and to find a level of confidence to trust our instincts and our intuition, and I'm going to get into the difference between those two words, is to allow ourselves to move through the process of being comfortable to feel our emotions, to be not scared of our emotions, nor overwhelmed by our emotions, or give our emotions too much power over us, right? It is very valid to allow ourselves to start expressing emotionally more on the planet. That's for men and women. And it's also beneficial for us to understand that our emotions are not our highest form of guidance as well. We're all progressing out of our minds and more into our heart, and as we do so, we are coming face to face with our emotional self, which can be quite confronting and can be quite uncomfortable and can be quite confusing as well. As we start to feel things that we've suppressed for a long time, we can make it more important than it really is. A lot of these feelings are not nearly as important, even though it's important to allow ourselves to feel them, right? And there's a big difference between that, right? It's important to allow ourselves to feel these emotions, because if we're not willing to feel them, then we're going to keep them suppressed, and that is going to influence our health in so many ways. But the feelings themselves might not be so important, right? Because they're mostly just residues of shit that's gone down in the past. As a point of difference, though, our intuition and our instincts are quite important feelings, right? Because they do yield good guidance for it. Instincts tend to be more centered in our belly, right? It's more primal. It's more around survival, right? Our instincts keep us safe. It's good guidance in how to stay alive. Our emotions don't always keep us safe, not at all. Our emotions might make us incredibly angry and want to fight someone or something that is stronger than us. That's not a great idea. Our instincts remind us to run away instead of fight. Our anger, our emotion, wants us to fight. Our instinct tells us we're better to flee this situation or to freeze and let it pass by. That instinctive knowing of what to do to maintain our survival is valid. It is valid. It can be a little railroaded by fear-based. I'm sitting on a coconut and it's getting uncomfortable, so I just need to change which bum cheek is on the coconut. Maybe that's too much information, but so instinct is more foundational, more root-based, if you like, more sacral, more muladhara, and more solar plex, right? This deep-seated knowing of what's safe and what's dangerous, right? This instinct inspires us, if you like, motivates us to look up when we're crossing the road. When we thought everything was safe and we started walking across the road, all of a sudden we get the instinctive hit to have another look, and then we notice, oh shit, there's a truck bearing down on us, we need to run, or some such, right? Our instincts tell us. I've got a great story of when I was out in the bush in Australia and I was collecting some firewood, and I was picking up some stuff, and I went to pick up a rather large piece of wood off the ground, and my instinct told me that it was dangerous. Something was wrong. And so I basically got another piece of wood, and I wanted to prove it to myself. I didn't just walk away from it. So I carefully turned this piece of wood over, and sure enough, there was a snake underneath, a black snake, which is, you know, reasonably venomous, reasonably dangerous. So so those instincts kick in. Like what led me to know that there was danger underneath that piece of wood after I've been picking up bits of wood all over the show? You know, I'd spent at least half an hour at that stage picking up bits of wood and carrying them back and stacking them up. How did I know that under that particular piece of wood there was danger, right? Instinct told me, the energy told me, instinctive reading of the energy. It wasn't so much intuition didn't hear a voice, or it wasn't, the line between instinct and intuition is quite blurry, and that's okay, because it's not necessary to know the difference and to categorize the difference. Intuition tends to be more about how to thrive. Intuition tends to be more about how to solve a problem or to move forward. Intuition tends to come more from our heart-based wisdom, to tap into universal wisdom, perhaps, in order to have a good outcome. Our intuition will inspire us to pick up the phone and ring someone about a job, even though we don't know that they've got a job to offer us, right? Intuitive guidance, just to follow some sort of inspiration, which will yield a good outcome. Whereas instinctively is more about, avoiding a bad outcome, generally. Our instincts can quite often happen so subconsciously, right? We don't even think, oh, I should look up. We just look up and we see the danger, right? There's a rock coming towards us, somewhere falling, and instinctively, somehow, sixth sense, right? The sixth sense, this knowing that action needs to be taken immediately. We act, right? We jump. We move out of the way when we didn't even really cognate that something was coming. Intuition more or less comes through our cognation, right? We get an idea, we get a thought, we get a feeling that is slower there's less time, less importance about acting immediately. We get the idea, oh, I should phone someone, and then we think about it, oh, I don't really know why I should phone, but I've got the feeling to phone, and we question it for a little bit, and then we go, oh, well, I think I'll phone anyway. And then we do it, right? And then we find out, we have a conversation, and maybe something good comes of that, or maybe we avert something bad happening, or whatever. So that's really, in my view, the difference between instinct and intuition. Instinct is more in the gut and the lower chakras. Intuition comes more from the heart and the third eye, the foresight, the insight, the guidance system. So hopefully that helps. The other question that I had was, how do we trust our intuition? How do we bypass this logical mind that wants to doubt, right? And it's good that our logical mind wants to doubt things and wants to inquire into things and wants verification. That's not a bad thing, right? Doubts are important in this world. If we develop blind faith and trust everything, we're going to get into all sorts of trouble, especially if we start trusting external inputs, right? If we develop such a level of trust that we trust the guru implicitly, right? And I've been there and indoctrinated into this thinking, right? We trust our teacher implicitly. It's not going to end so well generally, right? We do have to have a level of faith in a coach or in a guidance. That's important. I'll read that in a second, Jill. That is important, but at the same time, it's much more important that we find faith and trust in our own guidance, our own intuition, our own instincts, our own knowing. That's much more important than overshadowing that knowing and putting our faith in someone else. Scrolling right back to where we started this conversation, that could be the Bible or the scriptures, or the person who stands to represent the Bible or the scriptures, which might be the guru, might be the teacher, might be the priest, might be the rabbi or the whatever, right? We should be willing to doubt everything someone else says to us. We should be willing to inquire. We should be willing to question. But then finding a balance with our own deeper knowing and choosing not to get overly influenced by the doubts that arise. It's okay that we have a bit of doubt, right? That keeps us honest. So it allows us to inquire. We get intuition to do something, and then the doubts arise, and we go, well, is this really a valid thing to do? And then we can inquire a little bit. Well, it feels very intuitive that this is a good thing to do, and while I can see that there's potentially some problems, I think if we take those potential dangers into account, that we can move forward with this intuitive guidance, right? So a level of doubt is healthy, but The problem is that we quite often get swamped or overwhelmed by the doubts, and the fears arise in such level that we can't be sure. We can't be sure that our intuition or our instincts are correct, and therefore we hesitate for too long and miss our opportunities. We get entangled up and driven into a state of inactivity, stuck, fear-based concern that we're going to make a mistake, and therefore we don't take the actions that are potentially available to us. So how do we trust? Basically, for me, it comes down to maintaining my processes of relaxation. The more that I can relax, the more that I can take myself out of stress-based foundation, the better chance I have of moving through doubts, right? Because when we get stressed, we overemphasize fear. We overemphasize potential problems and dangers, and therefore the doubts seem bigger. They have more veracity, more validity than perhaps they should in our mind when we're stressed. So the more that we can stay relaxed, the more that we can do our breathing exercise, the more that we can do our meditation, the more that we can do our other self-care, such as exercise and good nutrition and getting adequate sleep and all of the rest of it, limiting our exposure to fear-based media and the like, and people in our lives who incite stress in us, the more that we take care of ourselves, the better off we're going to be at being free of the doubts or the influence of the doubts, right? The doubts are still there, but they don't influence us much because we're coming from a more relaxed, empowered state of being that we can follow our intuition. So that's basically it. There's no secret. It's, as we've been saying, as Mantara's been saying to me consistently for however many years now, 8 years or so, relax. The most important thing you can do right now is relax. That's the most beneficial thing you can do right now, is to take some breaths and relax. Find a deeper state of foundation to allow the insight and the inspiration to arise as to how to take a proper action. Because if you're just going to react from fear, if you're just going to allow the stress to influence your actions, you're going to stay caught in loops that are not beneficial. Jill said, feeling swamped with emotions this week as uncle passed over 5 days ago, plus my aunt is bordering on being declared, see if I can see more, being declared terminal too. So she is just not recovering properly from a knee op. Finding my intuition is getting buried right now. Yeah. First and foremost, Jill, it's important to relax out of the importance of having access to your intuition. It's going to be beneficial to relax into or out of fighting with the emotions. It's valid to have an understanding that you are overwhelmed, and it's valid to find allowance that being overwhelmed right now is not you failing. Holding an intent that you wish to find that your relaxation and your center again so that you can have access to your intuition is great, but also maintaining allowance for the fact that that's not easy is also valid. By and large, most of us who are listening to these calls, most of you guys who are attracted to Mantara's services are too hard on yourself, right? We hold very high expectations of how we should be able to cope with the world and how we should be able to be, on top and beneficial to others and serviceful, and how we should be, I've got to get up, my bum's getting too sore, how we should be able to succeed. I'm actually going to have a look at this as well and see how long I've been going, because I have a feeling 33 minutes, 33 minutes, 33 seconds. Interesting that I picked that time to have a look. So yeah, by and large, most of us are too hard on ourselves, and that doesn't help, right? We get stressed that we're stressed. We beat ourselves up for feeling beat up. We get emotional that we're so emotional. Sorry, just moving through the foliage, and I'll come back out to the waterfront and I'll walk back to my whare, my abode, where I can get changed and then rejoin my family, who's gone out paddleboarding. It's beautiful here today, beautiful high tide and no wind, so that's the lagoon out there. So it's a very nice day for partaking in water activities. So that's it, friends. Ultimately, what's really going to serve you is to relax into acceptance that you don't need to do this perfectly. And there is a lot of emotion up right now, and a lot of people are feeling it. A lot of people are withdrawing from it and feeling a complete lack of motivation and processing in that way. And a lot of other people are feeling very overwhelmed and confused and unsure of what to do and scared about that, and getting stuck in self-judgment around their lack of ability to feel on top of the world right now. So yeah, no rights and wrongs about that. It is beautiful here, Jane. It is very, very beautiful here. There's no doubt about that. So we're very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to choose to spend 3 months here, progressing with our process of becoming more of ourselves, and allowing the inspiration of this locale to play a part in that. Yeah, friends, so that's pretty much it for Chat with Matt today. Hopefully I answered everyone's questions. Big apologies if I did miss something. I was a little bit, I've had back-to-back appointments and sessions this morning, starting from about 7 a.m. and it's now midday and I haven't eaten yet. And I'm not making you feel sorry for me, it's just the way it's unfolded, because I've been taking a few days off this week to do various activities with family while the kids are over for a week, because we're away for 3 months and they've come over for a week. So much love to you all. If you do have questions, if I didn't answer anything, if you want to inquire more deeply into anything that we've talked about, just reach out, right? Just put a post on or put comments on. The best is always to remind me right before I do the next Chat with Matt, because I have a habit of forgetting what people have asked during the week. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask during the week as well. No worries. Thank you, Jill. Perfect. I'm glad that's helped, Jill. No worries, Jane. My phone's running out of power as well. Anyways, anywho's, my friends, much love to you all. I will speak to you again, same time, same place next week. Well, I can't guarantee I'll be in the same place, but it'll be on a device anyway. Much love. Bye for now.